tried institutions of the mind and soul. It only taught me what I should not know. Could be something as simple as this.
Good morning. This is Brother Way coming to you from another hot Sunday morning here in South Florida. I decided to do my video inside this morning in the air condition because it's hot here in South Florida. What I want to do today, though, is I want to kind of wrap up the last 4 videos we've had on hell and show you how you can kind of use this in your day-to-day life. Seeing that most pastors believe that 90% of mankind is going to spend eternity in hell, I thought that you could use this in a way to help yourself. So let's say this pastor comes up to you and says, your grandfather is in hell. Well, that is a huge lack of information. And you're going to want to understand what the preacher's actually talking about because you loved your grandfather. And this is important to you, especially since he pronounces that your grandfather is going to be there forever. Okay, and you may want to ask the preacher, Preacher, which hell is my grandfather in? Well, at this point, he's going to look at you baffled, and he's going to go, what do you mean? Well, from the videos, you've prepared this nice little chart. See this little chart? From the videos, you put that information together. At this point, the preacher's going to understand that you've taken the time to educate yourself about what the Bible truly teaches concerning hell. And he is going to become a little fidgety. If the preacher's lucky, he's going to remember somewhere he has to be. If he's not lucky, he understands he's going to have a conversation with you concerning the pronouncement of your grandfather. Well, then you need to ask him again, Preacher, where's my grandfather? He's going to say, he may ask you, where'd you get this chart? Well, you need to look at him and say, Preacher, what difference does that make? I want to know where my grandfather's at, especially since you said he's going to be there forever. Now, you shouldn't think it's rude to respond like this. It was the preacher that was rude to pronounce your grandfather in hell without knowing what hell he was talking about. Well, at this point, you just want to stare at the preacher. Babble not. You're going to want to say something to let the preacher off the hook because he's beginning to sweat at this point. But babble not. Okay, just sit there and stare at the preacher. It's going to be hard. You can practice that in front of the mirror, the little stare. You know, just stare at the preacher in expectation of an answer. Well, if the preacher gets bold enough to guess, he may say your grandfather's in Tartaroo. And you should respond, well, preacher, while my grandfather did sin, and he was in fact a sinner, he was not a sinning angel in the days of Noah. So my grandfather's not in Tartaroo. If he says that your grandfather is in Gehenna, you should say, okay, preacher, let's you and I catch an airplane and let's go to Jerusalem and visit Gehenna. And let's look for him there. If he says your grandfather is in Sheol or Hades, you need to rejoice aloud in front of the preacher. Rejoice in front of the preacher. And he may say, why are you rejoicing? You can say, well, preacher, if my grandfather's in Sheol, David said that God was in Sheol and that he was going to deliver his soul from Sheol. Paul proclaimed victory over Hades. Thank you, preacher, for giving me that information. And that is just a plain old simple truth concerning hell. Until next time, this is Brother Way.
Oh, and the answer, well, who would have guessed? Could be something as simple as this. God knows how I could have missed something as simple as this.